In the spring, when we pivoted on March the 13th, what we learned, what I specifically learned from many of our staff, is that although they were pleased to be at home, especially for just a little bit with the AMI process, it began to be a major burden at times, especially if the staff had young children, or maybe even not so young children, but just people at home, dogs, animals, life at home. They couldn't get away from the work. It was all the time, and it became more of a grind, especially when they were trying to use their own equipment, their own Wi-Fi systems in order to have access to their children. The school district also plays a role in the economy and in the work of our community. What happens if our district has to move forward or gets to move forward into this pandemic, and for some reason we have to pivot away as a district? What do we do? What do our teachers do? What do they do with their children? They were very open to figuring out a way to make sure staff, children would be taken care of during that pivot away. Of course, our workers, all of them, could still come to our school district, use our school facilities, use the Wi-Fi, use the equipment, be in a safe, clean environment, and to relieve some of that burden or that stress of having to do things from home. So the plan was born. I'd like to have Dr. Smith come to the podium.
So one of the things we talked about is we had to look at the population of teachers we have, how many of them have students in our district, how many of them don't have students in our district, and what that would look like. So the idea is that we would keep our pre-K programs open because they follow different sets of rules, if at all possible, and then to look at how can the after-school program come in and work with us in our district. So the current idea would be that we would have our 4 middle schools that would be open. It would be run by the after-school program, and we would allow teachers and essential workers to use our facilities during this time. We know that when teachers come in and they work remotely from their classrooms, they want to make sure their kids are taken care of, so we would have set locations that would be easy for them to access. We also know we don't know how many yet, because this is the first time we've brought it to you, so we are also going to have to poll our teachers to see how many of you would utilize these situations. In doing so, that we will have an overflow, so we've talked about getting our high school certified as well, so we would have additional places for them. They would be using our cafeterias and our gyms. Those are the locations they would do. The idea would also be that during this time, students are still going to have to do their remote lessons, and so they have it so that students can have locations that they can work on their lessons in a quiet place. The other thing that's important to know is they have stricter requirements, and so they have to adhere to these things, so we would make sure that all those are enforced as they're moving forward. The other thing is we have students that, parents that work in our district that have students that don't attend our district. So the after-school program also allows that opportunity for those students. So really, it's a great partnership with us in the after-school program to make sure that we can provide opportunities for our teachers. So we know that, as you've seen everybody talk, the last thing they talked about is teachers being the most important thing that our students have. And so Dr. Cleveland, I know he said this is the most important thing we do, and we have to have teachers completely focused on the teaching and learning, and this was a way that we can really meet that need. Are there any questions?
No, it's a great idea.